Hey guys, welcome back to Kitten Chronicles. I've got another video for you guys. This video is a suggestion from Rain. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Rain. I'm sorry. I'm gonna write it up here so you guys who actually know how to say names can say it correctly. Rain is one of our lovely fire kittens, our raging bright fire kitten on our Patreon. And Rain wanted me to do a video on how to read more, or how I read so much, because one of the Patreon exclusive videos I'm doing is TBRs, and my TBR this month has 7 books on it. You guys should go follow Rain. She is awesome. She's a writer. She likes the fantasy genre. She also has a website which is writingupmyserotonin.wordpress.com. The website written out in case I messed that up. I'm also gonna put that in the link in the description down below, as well as the links to all of her social medias. She's so supportive and sweet, and she's the best. If you'd like the chance to have a video dedicated to you, make sure to check out our Patreon. It is patreon.com/CloudKittenChronicles, same name as the channel, and that is our Kitten Coalition. There's 11 different options of tiers. Each has Patreon exclusive content you can check out. Back to the video. 7 tips on how to read more. Tip number 1 is the tip that I am most passionate about. It's the thing that's most helped me. Learn to love audiobooks. I do all of my reading in audiobooks, with the exception of course, indie books. With the books where I hate the narrator on audiobooks, I usually just end up not reading them. Like, for example, Game of Thrones. Audiobook narration for it is painful. I can't handle it. So that book has just gone back on my TBR. I digress. Audiobooks are so incredibly helpful. You can multitask with them. You can use them in scenarios where you could never read normal books, and I'll get to that in other tips, but tip number 1 is to just learn to love them. So if you're one of those people who off the bat hates audiobooks, I understand. That's how I was in the beginning. I mean, some people are always gonna hate them. You're not gonna be able to get around that. But for me, I hated them in the beginning and I got used to them. And that's just because it is a different reading format and it does take some getting used to. So I started with the audiobook of The Hunger Games, which was a book I loved. It's a book I'd already read before. So if I missed bits and pieces here and there in the audiobook and adapting to the format, it wasn't a big deal. And that's what helped me get into it for other books. And now I don't know what I would do without audiobooks. And as luck would have it, if you guys sign up for Audible using the link in the description down below, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, and with that free trial you get 2 free audiobooks. So go use those 2 free audiobooks on something that you want to do a reread of, something that you love to begin with. Make sure to listen to the samples so you know you don't hate the narrator. And if at the end of those 2 free audiobooks you still don't like audiobooks, maybe they're just not for you, but it could be that you get used to them by just listening through those 2. Give it a try. There's no money lost, so I mean, there's not really that much risk. You can listen on your phone, tablet, computer, anywhere. Tip number 2, identify gaps of times where you could be reading but aren't. So times where you just have empty space, like public transportation, riding in a car with someone you don't want to talk to. If you're brave enough, take a book to parties. I'm not trying to promote anti-socialization or anything, but there's some parties that are just better if you can just sit in a corner and read a book. So if that's something you can do, definitely take a book. Try to go over your schedule and your weeks in your mind and just try to identify little spaces of time where you could potentially be reading but aren't. Tip number 3, sacrifice a hobby or chunks of social media time. Believe me, I know how fun it is to just scroll through Twitter and Instagram for hours, but if reading is something that you care about and you want to do more of, then maybe it's time to sacrifice just a little chunk of that YouTube time. You know, obviously not the viewing time you'd be putting towards this channel, but you know, the YouTube viewing time you're putting towards other channels. 4, identify things that you can multitask with reading. And this is again where audiobooks become hugely helpful. So for me, a lot of the things I do while listening to audiobooks include chores, especially like mundane chores like folding clothes and washing the dishes and dusting and tidying and stuff. They're so much better when you're listening to an audiobook. You don't have to worry about your hands. You can just do what you're doing, and you don't have to focus on the super boring task of cleaning because you can just listen to the book. It's It's like the only reason I ever clean. In the shower, especially if you get like a waterproof speaker. I don't so far, but I have a Samsung Galaxy, which are water resistant. So I just put my phone in the shower and you can almost not hear it when it's on full volume. So I recommend you get like a little waterproof speaker. They have them pretty cheap on Amazon. Another place I really love to listen to audiobooks is when I'm editing Bookstagram photos, some forms of video editing. Also gym, you can just pop the headphones in. I recommend Bluetooth so you don't strangle yourself with the cord. It makes working out easier because you're distracted by the book. If you're on like one of those sitting bikes, you can probably read just like a normal printed book while doing that because your arms are staying pretty steady. I've seen people reading books on the elliptical. I don't know how they do that because like your body's going up and down and like I wouldn't be able to keep track of what line I'm on. If you have the skills to potentially do that, have at it. Let me know how that goes. And also things like eating, as long as you're okay getting grease marks on your book, or you could always do an ebook for that. Can you see Khajiit's tail? Tip number 5, this is what I implement for reading indie books, so this is definitely a physical book kind of tip, and that is read a little bit before bed every day. So as much as we like to, again, scroll through social media and stuff before bed, having that bright light in your face does impair your falling asleep. So what I tend to do is I try to lay down in bed like 15 minutes before I actually want to sleep. Generally that's like when Josh is in the shower, and I'll read during that period of time. And I found that that's great because 1, it helps me fall asleep faster after, so I'm not losing that chunk of time of trying to fall asleep. And 2, it's something that's reliable. It's like a cue. Every day I have to go to sleep, obviously. So every day when I go to sleep, I'm reminded that I should be reading for a little bit during that period of time. And 15 minutes a day isn't that much of a sacrifice, but it'll get you a fairly long way. Like using that 15 minutes a day, I finish at least 1 indie book a month. Tip number 6, get ebooks on your phone so you have them with you wherever you are, because there's little periods of time just here and there throughout the day where maybe you're stuck waiting for something, like you're stuck in line waiting to get food, or you have a 15-minute work break. You're at the DMV and waiting for hours and hours, but you didn't think to bring a book. If you have ebooks on your phone, and you can get a Kindle app right on your phone, it's super easy, then you just pull it out and you just read during those periods of time where maybe you'd be playing Candy Crush. And tip number 7 for reading more is set goals. Key thing to remember here is don't overdo it. I'm trying to do 7 a month just because I've gotten so good at incorporating audiobooks into my daily life that I can finish 7 a month, but start little just so you can have something to strive towards. So even if it's just 1 book a month or 1 book every 2 months, I know plenty of people in this writing and reading community who read just 1 book a month, and that's perfectly fine. No one has the right to judge you for that. Just trying to read in general is an accomplishment, and I think that matters more than how many books you read. So yeah, that was it for my tips. If you guys have suggestions for how to read more in ebooks or physical books, let us know in the comments down below. The just magic trick that I have found is just audiobooks. That's how I read as much as I do. So again, Audible free trial, 3-day free trial comes with 2 free audiobooks. Give it a try. Again, try to get audiobooks that are something you want to reread, something you already really enjoy. If you're someone who's not yet used to audiobooks and you want to try to get into them, I think that's the best method for kind of testing it out. Hopefully you can get into it. Audible is a monthly fee normally of $14.95, but with that you get a free audiobook and you also get discounts on all audiobooks. Whenever you run out of credits for an audiobook, they give you an offer, and that's that you get 3 credits for the cost of $35, so it comes out to like $11 an audiobook, which is incredibly low because some audiobooks cost like $40, so you're paying 1/4 of the cost. You can also return audiobooks if you aren't enjoying them, if you don't like the narrator, if you DNF'd it, all of that good stuff, you can return them, and I have done that in the past. Again, this is a video that's suggested by our beautiful, blazing, raging bright fire kitten, Rain Siverston. It's kind of ironic, her name is Rain and she's a fire kitten. I find that super funny and I like that. But yes, go follow her on social media. All of that is also linked in the description down below, as well as that Audible trial link, so go do that. If you want a video dedicated to you and your social media is all over a video, or if you want unique content, go join the Kitten Coalition. Subscribe, bell, you know the drill. Give this a like and a share. It really does help. YouTube is still punishing us for being a small channel, so every like and share and subscribe and bell really does make a huge difference. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.